Across the Caribbean, 4 sovereign states are increasingly focused on mitigating the effects of global mercury pollution. The Minamata Convention on Mercury is an international treaty that aims to protect human health and the environment from man-made releases of mercury and mercury compounds. As of October 2018, 101 countries have become party to the treaty, including Jamaica and St. Kitts and Nevis.
Jamaica decided to ratify the Minamata Convention on Mercury because we're committed to the global effort to protect human health and the environment from the man-made sources of mercury pollution to the environment.
It was important for St. Kitts and Nevis as the smallest independent nation in the Western Hemisphere to showcase not only to our nationals but to the international community that St. Kitts and Nevis takes the health of its citizens, its residents and visitors, and the protection of its natural environment very seriously.
St. Lucia's government has approved accession to the convention, and Trinidad and Tobago hopes to follow suit.
We have to contribute to tackling the problem of mercury pollution. So this is why St. Lucia is considering very seriously accession to the convention.
The government wanted to take a proactive approach and do some groundwork first before we actually signed on. Based on the past work that we have done so far, we have been actively considering acceding.
All 4 Caribbean states have conducted inventories to identify the main man-made sources of mercury and mercury compounds and roughly estimated their releases. Jamaica found that the majority of its mercury was released by the bauxite alumina sector. Both St. Kitts and Nevis and St. Lucia's inventory revealed that their major sources were from mercury-added consumer products and medical devices imported into the countries. Trinidad and Tobago discovered that over 75% of its releases were from the energy sector's extraction and use of fuels. From a global perspective, the combined mercury releases of these 4 states is small, but mercury is extremely toxic, even in small amounts of prolonged exposure over time. Based on the total inventory from all sources identified, Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago are each responsible for about 4,500 kilograms of mercury releases a year, while St. Lucia and St. Kitts and Nevis each release less than 100 kilograms annually. Exposing yourself to more mercury than your body can get rid of, through diet or otherwise, can do serious damage to your organs and nervous system. Researchers at the St. Augustine campus of the University of the West Indies have analyzed some fish samples and identified that the larger species tested tend to bioaccumulate more organic mercury over the course of their lives. Chemistry lecturer Dr. Terry Mohammed has some advice for Caribbean fish eaters.
There are 2 things that you'd want to do. First thing you'd want to do is be selective of the type of fish that you eat. You want to go for the slightly smaller fishes, not the larger ones or the older fishes. The second thing is regulate the frequency as well.
According to community pediatrician Dr. Jacqueline Bird in St. Lucia, mercury exposure is everyone's concern, but some demographics are particularly vulnerable.
We really want people just to be aware and to think about limiting exposure, especially in very young children and in pregnant women. The person that is at highest risk is actually the unborn baby or the fetus, and by extension, very young children, just because their nervous systems and their brain are developing at a rapid rate.
Skin lightening creams and soaps are another source of exposure because some may contain mercury compounds that may not be listed as ingredients. UE testing of these cosmetics has found varying levels of mercury.
The problem with skin bleaching creams and the use of mercury is that mercury absorbs directly through your skin. I would recommend that you reduce or regulate what you use. Right? Read your labels very carefully, first thing, and if you can reduce it, cut it out if you could.
As Caribbean states move towards accession and implementation of the Minamata Convention, they are preparing to meet its obligations. The treaty calls for the phase-out of imports, exports, and manufacture of certain mercury-added products by 2020. Under the convention, any entity that generates mercury waste will be expected to capture and dispose of it in an environmentally sound manner. But at the moment, none of the countries is equipped to separate its mercury waste. In all 4 islands, dentin amalgam, as well as mercury-added blood pressure gauges and thermometers, have become less commonly available. And certain industrial activities will be increasingly monitored to ensure that mercury residues are properly disposed of. Further technical and financial assistance are needed in all 4 countries to ensure the environmentally sound management of mercury, including testing, proper storage of mercury wastes, and awareness-raising strategies. The Minamata Convention envisions a low-mercury future, which the Caribbean must help bring about for the global well-being of its people and the environment.